Before the iPhone, before Android, and before smartphones became part of everyday life, there was one device that dominated mobile communication. BlackBerry. At its peak, it wasn't just a phone. It was a symbol of productivity, status, and constant connectivity. Business executives carried them. Government officials relied on them. Celebrities used them. And millions of people around the world couldn't imagine life without one. But despite leading the smartphone industry for years, BlackBerry made a series of decisions that would eventually cost it everything. This is the story of how a small Canadian company transformed global communication, became one of the most powerful technology brands in the world, and then lost its position in one of the biggest industry shifts in history. To understand BlackBerry, we need to go back to 1984. That year, two engineering students from Canada, Mike Lazaridis and Doug Fregin, founded a company called Research in Motion, often shortened to RIM. At the time, mobile communication looked very different from today. The internet was still in its early stages. Most people didn't own mobile phones. Email was not part of daily life. If someone left the office, reaching them often became difficult. Businesses were searching for faster ways to communicate, especially when employees were away from their desks. Lazaridis believed wireless communication would become one of the most important technologies of the future. While many technology companies focused on personal computers, Research in Motion focused on something different. Wireless data. This decision would eventually define the company's future. During its early years, RIM worked on wireless communication technologies and data transmission systems. The company developed expertise in sending information wirelessly, a field that few people paid attention to at the time. But as the 1990s progressed, a new opportunity emerged. Businesses were becoming increasingly dependent on email. The problem was simple. Email only worked when people were sitting in front of their computers. Once they left the office, communication slowed down. Research in Motion saw a solution. What if email could travel with you? What if messages could arrive instantly, no matter where you were? This idea became the foundation of BlackBerry. In 1999, the company introduced one of its first major products, the BlackBerry 850. It looked more like a pager than a phone. But what made it different was what it could do. For the first time, users could receive and send messages without being tied to a desk. An email could arrive while traveling. A message could be answered from almost anywhere. Today, that sounds normal. But in 1999, it felt like the future. Businesses immediately saw the potential, and BlackBerry was offering something most companies had never experienced before. Constant communication. The timing was perfect. Businesses wanted faster communication. Employees wanted more flexibility. And BlackBerry offered both. The company quickly developed a reputation for reliability and security, two qualities that would become central to its success. As the early 2000s began, BlackBerry expanded beyond simple messaging devices. The company introduced phones that combined mobile communication, email, and messaging into a single device. One feature quickly became BlackBerry's signature: the keyboard. Unlike most mobile devices at the time, BlackBerry gave users a full QWERTY keyboard. Emails that once took minutes to type could now be written quickly from almost anywhere. For professionals who spent their day communicating, it was a game changer. The device wasn't just helping people stay connected. It was helping them work faster. And that distinction mattered. As businesses became increasingly dependent on digital communication, BlackBerry found itself in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. Employees could answer emails while traveling. Managers could make decisions outside the office. Teams could move information faster than ever before. Soon, carrying a BlackBerry became more than a convenience. It became a symbol of professional importance. And BlackBerry's rise was only beginning. As BlackBerry continued growing, something unexpected happened. The device that had been built for professionals started attracting everyone else. One reason was BlackBerry Messenger, better known as BBM. Instead of paying for text messages, BlackBerry users could send instant messages directly through the internet. At first, it was simply a useful feature, but very quickly, it became one of the main reasons people bought a BlackBerry. For many users, communication suddenly became faster, easier, and more immediate than ever before. Messages arrived instantly. Conversations moved continuously throughout the day. And people became accustomed to being connected all the time. Without realizing it, BlackBerry was helping create a new expectation. The expectation that everyone should always be reachable. The company had originally set out to improve communication. Now it was changing behavior, and the growth that followed was enormous. By the late 2000s, BlackBerry had achieved something most technology companies never accomplish. It became the standard. Businesses adopted BlackBerry systems. Governments trusted its security. Professionals relied on it every day. The company wasn't trying to prove itself anymore. It had already won. At least that's what many people believed. BlackBerry had become one of the most valuable technology companies in the world. Its devices were everywhere. Its reputation was strong. Its future appeared secure. But history has a habit of punishing companies at the moment they feel most comfortable. And a major shift was already beginning. In January 2007, Steve Jobs walked onto a stage and introduced the iPhone. Looking back today, it seems obvious that the smartphone industry would change forever. But at the time, it wasn't obvious at all. Many people looked at the iPhone and saw a device with no physical keyboard, including BlackBerry. For years, BlackBerry had focused on one goal: helping people communicate faster, and it had become incredibly good at it. Apple was focused on something different: experience. The iPhone wasn't trying to be a better BlackBerry. It was trying to redefine what a phone could be. That difference would eventually determine the future of both companies. BlackBerry didn't ignore the iPhone. The company saw it. The problem was that it misunderstood it. Executives believed physical keyboards would remain essential. They believed serious users would always prioritize communication and productivity. And for a while, that assumption seemed reasonable. But consumer expectations were changing. People wanted more than communication. They wanted a device that could do everything: browse the internet, watch videos, use apps, play games, navigate cities, manage their lives. The smartphone was no longer becoming a communication tool. It was becoming a platform, and BlackBerry was still treating it primarily as a communication device. That difference became increasingly important every year. As Apple expanded the App Store and Android devices entered the market, the industry changed rapidly. Developers followed the growing platforms. Consumers followed the apps. Entire digital ecosystems began forming around iOS and Android. BlackBerry still had loyal customers, but loyalty was no longer enough. The market was evolving faster than the company. Each year, the gap became larger. BlackBerry released new products. Competitors released new ecosystems. And those were very different battles. The company that had once defined mobile communication was now struggling to define its place in a changing world. The decline didn't happen overnight. It happened gradually. The features that had once made BlackBerry unique were becoming less important. BBM was no longer exclusive. Messaging apps worked across different devices. Touchscreens improved. Mobile internet improved. Apps became central to the smartphone experience. BlackBerry wasn't losing because it built bad products. It was losing because the industry had changed faster than the company could adapt. And by the early 2010s, the numbers told the story. Market share fell. Sales declined. competitors surged ahead. The company that once led the smartphone revolution was now trying to catch up. Today, BlackBerry is no longer a major force in the smartphone market. But its impact can still be seen everywhere. Long before smartphones became essential, BlackBerry showed businesses what mobile communication could look like. It helped popularize mobile email. It helped normalize instant messaging. And it helped create the expectation that important information should reach us immediately, wherever we are. In many ways, BlackBerry helped build the connected world we live in today. Its story isn't just about a company that failed. It's about a company that was so successful at solving one problem that it failed to see a much bigger opportunity emerging around it. BlackBerry changed how the world communicated. But when the next chapter of technology arrived, it wasn't ready to lead it. And in the technology industry, yesterday's innovation is never a guarantee of tomorrow's success.